Hi, it's Barb and Gabby again. Today we have something really special for you. This last week I had some friends that came up to camp out in my yard for the night, and before I got there they decided to take a little walk up the trail. And I'm really glad they did, because they had a really exciting experience out here, and they're going to tell you about it. And we also have it recorded, so after the interview we'll be playing that for you. So why don't we let them introduce themselves to you?
I'm Ashlee.
And I'm Korey.
And
I'm Rene back here.
Okay, so why don't you tell us what happened?
Basically, we're kind of walking up the trail, and it was somewhat similar to like an owl sound, but we're walking and I hear this loud whoop. We kind of walk in, and Ashlee pulls her cell phone out and start walking up there, and off to the right, we kind of pulled off, walked off into the brush a little bit.
Right over there.
And then Rene, she goes, whoop! And they kind of started chattering. They were chattering the whole way. Like, it sounded like owls almost, but it didn't sound like an owl I've ever heard before. So
It was
we're walking,
constant.
it was constant, whoop, 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 whoop. And then we walked off into the brush, and Rene, she gives a hoot, and then you can hear them.
They just were like chattering, like
It was coming from kind of
talking
both
to each
directions,
other.
like
It was
back to
something
my
really
right,
weird.
back to my left, and then in front of me off to the right.
So it's kind of like we figured maybe they were talking to each other from over here and on this side. Whoop, 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 really loud, and not like an owl. Owls are one.
It almost sounded more like primate kind of.
Yeah. Yeah.
It sounded like something. We don't have apes in our mountains.
Yeah.
You know. But
Yeah.
so
it was right over here. We walked that way, and we just sat for a couple minutes and just heard them chattering away on either side of us, or on this side. I heard it from over here. Korey said he heard it from this way. Aunt Rene said she heard it in front of us.
And Korey here has been in the woods along with me quite a bit in Washington, and neither of us have
No, it
heard
was something
anything.
different. It wasn't owls.
Anything like this before. It kind
And it was
of
around
stopped us in our
7:45ish,
tracks.
7:45, 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow, that's
just
really
before
cool.
dark.
Yeah.
So how'd you feel about that?
I didn't really know what to feel.
We were just silent, looking at each other like, what is going on? You know, this is
It was
incredible. Like, I mean, I've never heard anything like that in the
Never.
woods. It was awesome. It was totally awesome.
A little freaky.
Yeah.
I wanted Barb there.
I know.
I wanted Barb
I'm so
there.
sorry I missed it. But you know, I've heard these sounds out here myself, and I know particularly that when you hear them on the recording, it doesn't even come close to hearing
Right.
it in person. You
Yeah.
know, the intensity of the sounds. And
I
yeah.
told you yesterday, I was like, it was kind of beautiful. Like, it was just like, we're alone in here, and all of a sudden we're hearing certain sounds that we've never heard before in the woods. You know,
It gives me goosebumps
Yeah.
right now talking about it. I'm serious. It does. I'm like getting goosebumps.
Yeah,
So.
it was cool.
I'm so glad you guys had an experience out here. I'm
Yeah.
so glad. And I'm even more glad you got it recorded.
I know. Aunt Rene was like, get the phone out, and I said, yeah. Like, you gotta record it.
You
I
gotta
just held
record it
up.
for Barb. Get it on record. Yeah. So.
Yeah, it
Well,
was
thank
really
you
cool.
so much.
Yeah.
That's really
And
awesome.
We'll be back to do it again.
Yeah.
Okay, glad to
Yeah.
hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So were you expecting to hear anything when you came out here?
No.
No.
Just
I-
out for
I
a
don't
little
think.
walk? And
Yeah, just out for a walk and just heard the owl sound, at first, and we all were like, okay, what was that? And we
It
walked
was
a
loud.
little bit.
It was way louder than an
Yeah.
owl. And
It was like,
Yeah.
but
woo!
it was still further, like
Yeah, just
100
one.
yards
and
off
we're like,
out in the
okay,
woods.
wait a
And we're
minute.
like,
Wow.
We walked a little bit, and then it was just like, woo, 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 and then just
Crazy.
went off for a couple minutes.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
wow.
she
I mean,
pulled
back
out the
and
phone,
forth.
and they'd kind of slowed down a little bit, and then Rene goes, hoot, and they
Yeah,
took off again because they'd slowed down. It had already been like 2 minutes, 3 minutes of.
of the chatter.
What
I
is
thought they
this?
wanted me
Like,
to
what
shut
is
up. So
Wow,
when I
that's
hooted,
cool.
it seemed to me like they were going, "You're interrupting us. Be quiet, please." So,
Well, when I got back to the cabin, you guys were so excited, and I was so excited to hear about it. We were standing there talking about it, and we heard one more whoop coming from across the river in the trees in that direction.
Yeah,
So I think when you guys heard that, it was right at the time of day they were probably coming down from the mountain
Yeah.
to head out into the flatlands out there to do some hunting, look for elk.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because they were all around. It was right here.
What also is weird is when we came out of the mountains, which was probably really close to dusk, almost, you know, not quite dark, is all of a sudden the birds.
Yeah.
The birds were
Oh, yeah, you
going
were telling me
off
about
like
the birds.
crazy. It was,
Yeah.
you know,
Felt like
I don't
they were
know
angry,
if it was,
but
yeah, it
just-
was like what's going on in my forest? You know, so I don't know what that was about.
Well,
Usually
they
you don't
probably
hear.
have nests out here, and their babies are hatching, and probably, especially the young ones, probably use those as a food source. So I could see how the birds could get upset by their presence.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that's really cool.
Yeah, there was definitely something
all in
going
all,
on.
it was a great experience.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I want to.
We were all so pumped. We were like,
Yeah.
we can't wait for Barb to get home so we can shower this video. Like, we were so stoked.
Yeah.
Wow, this is so awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Okay, well, thanks you guys for sharing this with us and sharing it with YouTube. And
thanks for
there's a
having
lot of
us.
people going to appreciate this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll be
Okay.
back, Barb. Thanks for having us. We'll camp in your yard again.
Okay, okay. Good to hear it. I'll be looking forward to it. Okay. So, you guys have a great day. And thanks for watching.
It can't be civilian, right?
Unless someone's watching.
This is so awesome.
And
Sitting there
Gabby,
just
right
growling.
after my hair stood up, Gabby started tripping and was sitting there, and then she kind of paced back and then sat down by the fire and just sat there and kept growling.
That's right around where you heard the whoop.
Yeah.
I mean, a little earlier, but then
Yeah.
Gabby started freaking out, growling a
Growling,
little bit.
yeah.
Me and Korey just said something, you know, in the creek area, just kind of just watching, you know, or just.
Something that was watching us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was really weird when she freaked out right over here, coming into this area, and she just growled and
Yeah,
jumped. And
that's really unusual for Gabby to behave like
I
that.
remember, well, I've only been out once with you, and she didn't. She was quiet, you know, and kept to
Yeah.
herself. So I figured that was.
Whatever she seen last night was a little odd.
Yeah, she
Yeah,
was
to
definitely
me.
worked up about it. I think she could probably smell them out here when we got to this loop area and came out. And she started kind of pacing and making the noises and
Yeah.
yeah, and when we got back to the yard, she was definitely nervous about something.
Yes.
Yeah.
And doing growling. I've never heard Gabby growl.
Yeah.
No, huh?
Well,
You
she
don't
had
growl.
friends to protect here.
Yeah. I know you don't growl, huh?
No,
No. No.
she's such a good girl.
Yeah.
She
Okay.
is. I love her.
Good.